Hi, students. Welcome. Sorry, my voice just cracked. Welcome to week 3. This is module 2. Um, how are you guys doing? How's life? How's school and work and family and all the things? I know that sometimes when we get to this level of um, school, it just kind of gets a little bit chaotic. So just know that I care about you if you're going through some stuff. Um, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I want to be helpful in any way that I can. Also, make sure you guys are having good treats during your study time or just a good pick-me-up. I discovered these recently and I'm in love. I am absolutely in love. So, what is your favorite candy? Okay. I just want to go through this week, the module, and do an overview of what's required, kind of what we're learning and why it's important. Um, Let me share my screen with you. Okay, this is what you should be looking at. We're going to go down to module 2. Okay. I want you to look at this module overview. Okay, this is going to kind of give you a good um, just kind of a good grasp on what we're learning. These are the objectives that we're trying to help you guys learn. And then here's your requirements. So I want you to read chapter 2 of your textbook. It's going to be going over the multi-dimensional perspectives, which I think is an awesome topic. Um, and here are some other readings that I would like you to look at, just kind of review. If you have to allocate your time to one or the other, I would say read your chapter first, focus on that more. These other readings are to kind of help deepen that understanding for you. Okay, so they're additional readings for you to understand the concepts a little bit more. Okay. Um, then I also want you to view these 2 videos. They're not super long. I think they're both like under 10 minutes or so. Um, The this video is really cool. She's a scientist who talks about sort of like if you've ever had the question of like, hey, well, what about people who are born into poverty? Like, is there hope for them? Can they overcome those challenges? She helps answer those questions of what are the outliers? Who are those that are actually finding success even when they are born into circumstances that don't support them very well, right? Um, and the thing to take away from this is there's not just one answer. Um, there are multiple different answers, and that really plays into what we're talking about of a multidimensional framework, right? As social workers, we understand that there's not one size fits all for this field. People are the most complicated, intricate creatures on the planet, uh, and we have to work together to create change. Okay, so and then this other one is a very similar sort of idea of this is a board or a panel full of there's like an MD, there's a psychiatrist, there's a social worker, and all of them are working together to try to provide the best holistic treatment for their clients, right? They understand that health exists in not just one realm of a person's life, that exists on many different realms. So, um, such a great video. Please watch that. It will really help, especially with your um, discussions this week. Okay. So yeah, make sure you're doing the readings, watch the videos, and then you do have a module 2 quiz. Now, there is a discussion as well, so let me go through that. Um, okay, it's going to be the multi-dimensional assessment framework. Okay. And basically, you're going to be discussing, you're going to be writing a little bit about sort of the relationship or the difference between single casual assessment and multidimensional approaches assessments. Okay, so think of single casual as like if we say, hey, depression is caused by um, chemical imbalances. Well, that's only part of the problem, right? That's only part of the picture. We know that there's so much more that goes into it than just chemical imbalances, right? There's also all the environmental factors. There's social environment factors. There's, um, you know, just where someone's living, the uh, are they dealing with chronic pain in their life, right? There's just so many different factors, and we really need to understand those. So, and then part two of it is not only do we want to understand the difference between the single casual and the multidimensional, but we want to explore and discover how would we apply this in a real world setting with our clients. How might you go about uh, gathering information? What tools would you use? And what interventions might you select, right? So think of tools like having an interview with this person to ask about, sort of what's their biological background? Do they have any medical conditions? Um, what does their spiritual life look like? What does their family life look like? Um, and just sort of get a good get a good view of how they're thinking about their problems, right? Um, or we can use questionnaires or screeners to help us understand these different dimensions in their life. Okay, and then as always, make sure that you're doing that you're responding to two different peers who have posted their stuff. I'm looking for well thought out posts or responses. Don't just say, "Hey, great job. Thank you so much for sharing," right? I want to know that you're actually reading through these and that you're actually processing what other people talk about. One way that might help you with that prompt is just saying, what was the biggest takeaway that I got from this person's perspective, right? How did this maybe inform or change my view of multidimensional framework? Okay. Okay. I think that's it for assignments. I just wanted to end by talking about the real importance of multidimensional framework and assessing for these different things. So, one of my professors from grad school, she worked in a psychiatric hospital. And one time there was an elderly woman who was admitted to her unit who was experiencing psychosis. So she was seeing things that weren't there, she was hearing things that weren't there, and she wasn't making a whole lot of sense. And so the initial thought or diagnosis was psychosis of some sort, whether it was schizophrenia um, or something adjacent to that. But then the social worker said, "Wait a minute, why don't we um, see what's going on physically for this client?" And so they got her to the doctor, they took her blood work, they took her like a urine sample, and they found that she actually was severely dehydrated and she had a urinary tract infection. Okay. And so they were able to get her hooked up on an IV. They got her plenty of liquids and electrolytes, and then they also were able to prescribe her an antibiotic, which cleared up the infection that she had. And by doing that, her psychosis symptoms were like gone. Okay. She was able she was able to think clearly. She didn't see things anymore, hear things anymore. Okay. So my question to you is what would have happened if that client had not been diagnosed or had not been assessed physically, right? If there had just been like, oh, yep, this is her diagnosis. Um, she has psychosis and we need to deal with that first. how might that treatment not have worked, and how might that have even been dangerous to her to not recognize that she had these other physical things going on for her. Okay. So that's another way to really understand the importance of a multidimensional framework, that as social workers, we're not just trying to like stamp out problems. We're trying to understand sort of all the things that go on and that are creating and causing these symptoms and these issues and things like that. So, also think of that from more of a cultural, or sorry, from more of a community level, right? We might be trying to address we might be trying to address uh, joblessness, right? Or unemployment. Sorry, that's the real word for it. Unemployment. Um, but one of the biggest barriers is transportation when it comes to unemployment, right? So we could be telling our clients all day long, hey, let's get your applications out, let's get you a new job. But if they don't have great transportation to get to their job, that's not really going to solve the issue. Okay. So again, let's be looking at what are all the factors and things that are going into um, this person's problem. Okay. So, okay, guys, I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourselves, and know that I'm in your corner. Okay. Reach out to me through Canvas messages. If you have any questions, concerns, um, or you just have a really cool treat that you want to tell me that you love. So, uh, I hope you have a wonderful week. Keep on keeping on, and we'll talk to you next week.